Alright, so my internet went out early this morning, so I lost my Google Docs script for this video, so I'm gonna attempt to go into this just completely unscripted and hope that just works out for me. Now, I was browsing the internet last night, specifically on Twitter, when I discovered the shit show that was going on with Butch Hartman. I'll just give you a brief clip notes summary of what I saw. The three more important things that happened. Number one was people discovered information on an obscure YouTube channel where Butch basically admitted that he was doing a Christian streaming service, something akin to like PureFlix. The Kickstarter, from what I gathered, implied that he was making a service for family-friendly content because Butch felt as if the media and just a lot of services are basically giving children access to things they shouldn't be watching more easily, and wanted to remedy that with his own service, and withheld this information on his Kickstarter. I even went to a couple web pages talking about this whole thing. Wasn't even able to find the word Christian in any of those articles, or not even on his Kickstarter, I didn't find it. And in the same video, this is the second thing, in the same video, people were upset with him using suicide as a means to almost boost his platform. Like I said earlier, he didn't like the fact that the media is giving children access to media that they should not be viewing, and I guess blames the media for basically suicide. Something along those lines. I didn't look into this one too much. There are people who are talking about it. There's clips of it that you can find on Twitter. I'll link some of those. But that's essentially another thing that people are upset about. The third thing is that people like Noah and recently Angry J Sponge came to me saying that Butch or someone close to Butch with Frederator are taking down videos criticizing Butch. Those are the three big things that are happening. But believe it or not, that is not the important part of this video. Those three things are not the most important things I'll be focusing on. Instead, we're going to be looking at something he said in a live stream that happened a few days ago. Or I think last night, I don't remember. Some people said last night, I don't remember the details, but it happened very recently. So we'll just say last night. And somewhere in the stream, someone asked him about the existence of a Family Guy meme making fun of Oaxis, or about Oaxis. Something about Oaxis involving a Family Guy meme. Or not necessarily tangent. And then Butch went on this little spiel where he basically said that people like him, like this person, haven't done anything with their lives. That they haven't done anything spectacular. And from the sound of it, it was just really any form of creative media in general. So then it goes on to say that if you have never done something, if you've never done anything, then you shouldn't criticize anyone.
I just want to tell all people like that, as I get back to safety here, that if you guys can't do it yourselves, you shouldn't criticize anybody else. You really shouldn't.
And he's not going to take you seriously. The only people apparently he will take seriously, or at least the people that he will take seriously, are other cartoonists.
Now, another cartoonist wants to have a problem with me or whatever, that's a different story. But at least somebody who's actually done something, I'll talk to or talk about.
I feel like the shit I mentioned earlier should be the most important part, because those are serious accusations. Those are serious things that people are really laying into Butch over. However, me being me, and my longtime viewers knowing how much I fucking hate it when people condescend to you, this really stood out to me, because all three of those things that I mentioned earlier do sort of fall center into this one clip, because this is where I just lost my shit. Now, the problem with this clip is that Butch is really bad at actually being direct to the point. He uses words like anything or something to describe people just doing some form of creation, so I don't necessarily know exactly what he means. So I'm gonna take this in many different ways. Let's say if they haven't done a cartoon, or they haven't done I don't want to say streaming service, because that's just something that's not going to be easy for everyone to do. You need money for that. But let's just say a form of creation, because he describes later on about just the questions he gets from people, and if we're taking what he is upset about into consideration, just people just asking him shit and giving him criticism in general. The most important thing he says is, if you haven't done anything, if you haven't actively done something or are not doing anything, you shouldn't criticize anyone.
And so if someone wants to do something and they want to ask me questions like that, that's one thing. But if someone doesn't do anything and they want to I don't know, criticize, then I have no time for them. I just want to tell all people like that, as I get back to safety here, that if you guys can't do it yourselves, you shouldn't criticize anybody else. You really shouldn't.
So I'm basically taking that to mean really anything, because it's so vague and so just undirect to any sort of point that you can interpret that any fucking way. So I don't think I need to explain exactly why that's a problem, but we'll indulge in that for a sec. Take a lot of the people on the internet. Some people who are, let's just say on YouTube, because this was a YouTube live stream, just want to sit down and enjoy someone else's work. They want to sit down because, let's say, television isn't good, or there's nothing on television. So they want to see an amateur just go their own route. They want to see what they bring to the table, what they're doing better than television, because a lot of people on the internet, especially on YouTube, are definitely more entertaining than television. Some people just want to watch that. They don't want to create. They don't want to be an internet personality. They don't want to be someone along those lines. But when they witness someone do something poor or just behave generally unscrupulous and just notice behaviors and actions that they shouldn't be taking, do their opinions not matter? Or rather, do they not have the right to call that out because they're not actively creating something? They're not presenting their own work to an audience. And I guess that you can see where this is going. This is basically, you don't have to be a chef to tell that a meal is awful. Someone's giving you the prime ingredients from the best places, from the best markets, from the best butcher. You're getting a steak, you're getting peas, you're getting fucking whatever comes with a steak, but your steak is burnt. Your vegetables, they've been oversalted. It doesn't matter the ingredients or the strength of the quality of the food that arrived in. Someone fucked it up along the way, and you can call that out. You can say, hey, you fucked up my meal. I don't like what you're doing. I don't like what you presented me. Does that criticism, does that distaste actively just get shut out because you're not a chef? Because you don't understand what it took to make the meal, what it took to get the ingredients, what it took to buy the ingredients, and so on. This is an absolutely stupid mentality to have. All it is just to discredit people for really no apparent reason. I mean, Butch, you've been a cartoonist for 20 years. You've had audience criticism. Well, I guess you have more children audiences, but thanks to the internet, people can criticize that stuff. People can be like, hey, this show is not living up to expectations. It was good at one point, but now it's starting to decline. Those opinions are just from people who want to see an improvement, or are like, oh, I took a look at this and decided it wasn't for me. Maybe they could do this and it'll make it better. Some people aren't actively just trying to go out and say, oh, this is just a piece of shit, you should be ashamed. People are giving you harsh criticism because you could be doing better. It's not coming from a place of, you should stop what you're doing. It's coming from a place of, here's a way that this could be better, or I know there's a way you could be doing this better, and if you believe that way exists, actively try pursuing that over what you're currently doing. To discredit those types of people is just ridiculous. It's fucking absurd. And that leads me to something else. Something that really bothers me about Butch is that, look at the people that are criticizing him. A lot of the people that I would be describing are people somewhere probably from their teens to, let's say, late 20s. I want to say late 20s. Not everyone is lucky in life. Some people aren't able to pursue their dream careers. Some of them are stuck in college. Some of them are just working minimum wage jobs to barely afford their apartments and their houses. We're not really swimming in riches. A lot of us aren't. But why is this important? It's because Butch was actively pursuing an audience of these types of people. Look at the channel that Butch was running. The videos he was making, drawing Pokemon, just from descriptions, drawing Overwatch characters and the Fairly Odd Parents style, how to fix Teen Titans Go. A lot of very popular topics with people in this millennial age demographic. People who liked the 90s to early 2000s, mid 2000s, what fucking have you, wherever you think the cutoff date was for when cartoons started going bad, whatever. This is the audience he was actively gathering. This was the content he was making. He was getting this age demographic, and he's discrediting them because they haven't done anything. What the fuck? I mean, let's take for a second that these people are doing something not on quite as big a scale. We'll get into that in a sec though, but even if they aren't, We'll go back to the people I mentioned before, people who are just seeing what you're doing. Not even just the content you're making, not even just the cartoons that you've made, but the people who saw that you were just not being forthcoming with a lot of information, that you weren't forthcoming about the Christian tone of Oaxis, that the suicide thing rubbed people the wrong way, and the fact that people are displeased that someone, might not be you, but someone is trying to censor criticism. These people are just not happy with you. They are seeing that you have fallen from grace. They're seeing behaviors that someone should not be exhibiting. These are behaviors that people shouldn't be exhibiting. And they're seeing just very shady things go on, or maybe not shady, a little disingenuous, not super forthcoming. So why don't we find people who have criticized you? DallSmick, for instance. He's a guy I admire. I like his content. I saw him around the time he made his video on Veilskibum. One of his most popular videos, if not his most popular video, is his video on you, Butch Hartman, where he was basically describing a lot of the things he didn't like about you and just the way you are, or the way your channel's going. Now, taking out the fact that he has way less subscribers than you, he's an artist. He is doing something. He's pursuing art. He is a good artist. He makes his own thumbnails. He draws his own thumbnails. He's doing something. A lot of people, they might not be doing something grand. They might not be doing something spectacular. It might not even be that high grade. But they're doing something that makes them happy. And they're still criticizing people. They're still criticizing people who have achievements that stack much greater than anything they'll probably ever accomplish in a lifetime. People who are more famous, people who have been touring countries, people who have fans all across the world, people who admire them tremendously. But that doesn't mean that these people shouldn't be allowed to receive criticism from people that aren't as important as them. And that's what bothers me the most. This is what really gets to me, is that you're only going to take the advice of people who actively have done something. And I really want to call that claim into question, because I don't know if anyone's really doing it. I'm sure some people might after some of this information goes live. But will you listen to them? It seems like you're more set in your ways than anything. You're pretty set in what you're doing right now, and if people are going to call that into question, you're not going to listen. And you have the right to not listen. Like I said, you're well within your right to just not listen to these people is the thing. I'm not taking that away from you. You don't have to listen to these people. You don't have to really take anyone's advice into consideration, because that's the thing about criticism that I think is being lost. And that's one thing that also bothers me, is that these people are just giving criticism. You don't have to take the criticism. That's the whole point of it, is that you can just take it or leave it be. And if you weren't vocal about it, then there would not be a problem on my end, because you'd just be ignoring pretty much everything anyone else says anyway. But you went out and decided to discredit everyone. Discredit pretty much everyone in your audience. Because most of the people in your audience are probably not famous cartoonists, or famous YouTubers, or really famous anybody's. If you didn't take the time to say any of this, then there wouldn't be a fucking issue. Outside of everything I mentioned at the beginning of the video. Now, I get at the end you mentioned maybe some people just give you stupid questions, and I mean, being an ass to those people is a little shaky, but the people who actively want to call you out, you're censoring these people. You've censored Noah, and I don't remember the nature of Angry J Sponge's video, but that's gone too. And I feel like this one might go down and more videos might go down. I realize that this is a bit of a disorganized video, and I do apologize to the people who actively watch me and are a little displeased by that, but I had about a little bit of time to actually do this. What I want to present to Butch, finally, is just, you reasonably should not be this dense. You should be able to tell that this is just not how critique works. My final thoughts on this whole thing is just, Butch, I hope you face the music on this one. That you come out and say what needs to be said. If some people are incorrect on the information that they have, or that the information existed somewhere else in a more open space, then let people know. If your intention wasn't to, say, use suicide to promote your media, but just allude to the fact that it exists and that it's in the media and go into more explanation on it, then I say go for it. If you want to let people's videos go back up and not take them down anymore and just face the music on that, I'd say pursue that as well. This is the chance to pretty much make everything right. People are not happy with you. People are upset with you. They are very upset with you. But rather than really take taking the best approach to this currently. What I'm seeing is just what I'm seeing. I don't know how to describe. Discrediting people who really just want to tell you what their thoughts are. I mean, some of them probably are just being assholes, and again, you don't necessarily need to take that into account. You don't need to acknowledge that. But the people who want to see you do better, or the people who feel like they've been cheated or that other people have been cheated, you should acknowledge that and actively speak out about it. Return the people's videos that have been criticizing you. But the fact that you're this outspoken, that you've just come out and said that these people don't matter because they're not important, or they haven't done something, or they're not doing anything, that's ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous. It just shows me how little you value people's opinions, people who aren't famous, the people who don't actively have the luck to reach your type of success, or even moderate success. The discrediting of people who can't reach that type of success. They're not able to. The people who haven't been able to do it yet, or are trying to get back up there, or are trying to do it but aren't quite on that level as you. Butch, this is pretty early on in probably the shitstorm that's gonna go down, so this is probably the best opportunity for you to make things right. As I said, it's time to make things right, and I hope you do it. I hope you actively do it and don't go the same route as YouTubers who just explode, fuck things up, and then finally have to make an apology with all of this extra shit that was piled onto the bill. These extra charges. If you just come out and do it right away, acknowledge this stuff, disprove it if it's incorrect, or just inform people who are misled, and be honest, then hopefully the shitstorm will die down. You'll still have people who will be against you or criticize you, but at least you took the high road. You actually acknowledged it, assuming you're basically telling the truth, and I hope you do. But right now, this is just fucked up.